This gun is not perfect, and while I do like it and I have continually given them positive reviews on this channel, I sometimes hear people talking about the Tikka as if that's the end-all be-all, and there are still a lot of problems with this platform. So today, let's talk about the negative side, the cons of the Tikka T3x. Today's video is sponsored by FindAHuntingBuddy.com. The site does exactly what the name says it does. It helps you to find hunting buddies in your state and across the USA. I didn't grow up in a hunting family. I started in my teens and I had to learn everything from scratch. And I know just how hard it can be to find game, pack out that game, and to stay positive when you're backcountry hunting solo. Having a hunting buddy totally changes the game. So many people stop hunting just because they're not being successful, and this can be a way to help you to fix that. You can purchase a 1-year membership for only $48, post your hunter's profile, view other members' profiles, contact members, and then go hunting. It doesn't matter if you're 18 or 80, if you're a beginner or advanced hunter, whether you prefer a rifle, shotgun, or bow, if you want to hunt for deer, elk, bear, boar, hog, sheep, raccoon, squirrel, upland game, waterfowl, predators, anything else that you want, as long as it's legal to hunt in your state. So check out FindAHuntingBuddy.com today and get hunting. There's a lot to like about the Tikkas. They have an excellent action that is legendary, been known for a long time to be a very smooth, reliable feeding action. The guns have a hammer forged barrel that I've found to be very accurate. My Tikka T3x Vail Wideland was shooting half minute. There's just so much to like about it. But let's admit there are problems. Number one is right here. I was looking at a store the other day at a whole bunch of Tikkas on the wall, and they have so few models that they're actually threading the muzzle. It's confounding. I really do not understand it. Everybody is putting on muzzle devices these days, either a can or a muzzle brake if you hate your own hearing, but everybody's putting on muzzle devices these days. And so to not have a threaded muzzle, especially in this price point, not that it's of course a high-end expensive gun, but it's definitely not the cheapest on the bargain bin either. And so to not have a muzzle thread at this price point doesn't work. It makes it not as competitive. You can get your muzzle threaded. It's probably going to cost you $150. And so that probably is one of my biggest complaints about this platform, is they really should be threading every single muzzle going forward. Problem number two is a little bit petty, honestly, but it is one of those annoying things. So they have an a modular grip system here so that you could get a more vertical grip here. And the reason that a lot of people like, especially more kind of advanced, longer range shooters, like that more vertical grip, is so that you can kind of push that wrist a little bit forward so that you can get a straight pull on that trigger so that you stand the least chance of kind of messing with the gun at all during the trigger pull. Most rifle makers are including a second grip or something in the box. Tikka does not. I kind of feel like they're going a little bit cheap on us. You can purchase the aftermarket grips, but they're not included on the rifle. I don't necessarily love the versioning that Tikka has done with the T3x platform. So new for 2021 was the Tikka T3x. They had the Vail Wideland and the Rough Tech Ember. I've actually never seen one of those Rough Tech Embers on the shelf yet, but the Vail Wideland is one that I bought, and I took it with my sons to Africa. We used that on a hunt there. It's a great gun, shoots great. Problem I had with it is they're just not bringing enough to the table as an upgrade from the base to, I think, really warrant the price point. There you're adding $400 or $500 to the price point of the rifle, and really you're getting Cerakoting on the barrel, which is nice. Yeah, you're getting fluting on the bolt, if I remember right. The normal one is not fluted. And then you're getting a camo stock, and I was just kind of left wondering, and a threaded muzzle, and I thought, it's like an okay offering, but there are competition in this price point that already offer all of those things. Next up is the lines on the stock. Traditionally, hunting rifle stocks were kind of grown for hunters who are shooting very often standing, right? And as standing to shoot a rifle, this isn't bad. It's perfectly comfortable, right? That's why we had the more horizontal grip, and that's why we had more of a rounded forend to really fit in your hand. We had rifle sling studs because nobody was really shooting off the ground and off bags and bipods. Today's hunter is pretty different from that. Maybe not so much in some areas. In Europe, a lot of standing shooting going on or out of a blind, that this is okay. But a lot of people are shooting off tripods and bipods, and it's just different how shooting is done today. And I think they've kept a very traditional stock line for probably too long. I'd like to see a lot of updates to this. So some of those things that would be a flat forend, so that if you're in a blind and you're resting it on a rest, it sits flat. Even on bags, it would help to sit more flat for accuracy. Instead of sling studs at kind of the higher end price points, I'd love to see a Picatinny rail there with a QD flush cup, so that these don't poke out and go over your rest and things like that could mess up your shot. And of course, a higher comb. The comb on this stock is kind of unusually low, and so there's really no way. This is me just comfortable with a cheek weld. But now I'm going to raise up to where I can actually see through the scope. Now I can actually see it. So it's quite a bounce up there, and this scope is already mounted about as low as we can realistically go. And so I would love to see a higher comb in the stock as well. Again, just to help with accuracy, especially an adjustable comb would be great. You guys, I'm editing this video, and as I'm listening to all these cons, and I keep fighting with myself like, no, but this is an awesome gun. It has so many good things. Why am I not talking about it? Just the topic of this video is the cons, and so I want to make sure this isn't coming off as like really petty, all the little things that I'm talking about. I think it's good to know all of the drawbacks to a gun, but as you can see, none of these are deal breakers, and I love my Tikka T3x Lite. I just want to make sure that part of it is coming through too. Next is a big one. The butt pad on the Tikka T3x is terrible. It's just bad. It's so stiff. I care kind of a lot about the butt pads on rifles. I think it makes a big difference in just the shootability of the rifle, but also your ability to stay on target through recoil makes a big difference. And with muzzle flip, if you get the right butt pad, it helps you to become a better shooter. It's basically ineffectual. It's so stiff unless you had an extremely heavy recoiling cartridge. Also, if you're shooting it like this one is in 6.5 Creedmoor, nobody's crying about the recoil, right? It doesn't really matter what the recoil pad is. Next is the Tupperware Factor. It's a lot of plastic. A woodpecker would just feel right at home knocking on this thing. Actually, fun fact, Tikka in Finnish, because they're made in Finland, right? Tikka in Finnish means woodpecker. Now you know. And that extends even to the trigger guard, where the trigger guard even is plastic, or at least feels like plastic to me. Now, I've never had an issue with a trigger guard breaking on me, but some people have, and have had issues out in the wild, and so some people really care about that. To me, I don't really care if my trigger guard's plastic or not. But I do think a lot of times about these rifles, and I think of them like as an heirloom. A rifle will last over 100 years, right? And so sometimes I think about the longevity of my investment, and I just think like, man, 50 years from now, is somebody going to want to buy a plastic stocked rifle? I don't know. We care about the old wood rifles have really held their value. I don't know that all these plastic stock things really will. Next, the barrel is really annoying to remove on a Tikka. So this is famous as a build gun. Because that action is so smooth and reliable on a Tikka, And because of the price point, a lot of people say, now hold on, if I'm building a custom, why don't I just take this action and build around it? It's a good idea. But they make it really hard to get that barrel off. I believe it's glued in there. I've seen several videos where guys are just wrenching on that thing, trying to get the barrel off. Most people consider that to be a gunsmith job to get the barrel off of a Tikka. It is a little bit frustrating, but it can be a good build gun. Next, now that action is super smooth on the Tikka, and we have a shorter bolt throw. There's a lot to like about it, but part of the reason that it is so smooth is because there's a lot of slop in that bolt. And so, yes, they are machining these accurately enough that, I mean, people can make pre-fits for them, and so that really says something to the quality here. But a lot of it is, it's gliding because there's a lot of slop in there. Now, that's not necessarily bad. Sometimes when you're pushing a bolt with a lot of slop, if you kind of get a weird angle on it, it'll kind of bind up on you. This one doesn't really, because of the unique geometry that they use in the bolt. You can see on the bolt head here, maybe there, you can kind of see the pattern that they're using that kind of helps to keep things concentric and running down the action. So that's the Tikka T3x. It's a great gun, but it's by no means a perfect platform. So I just wanted to highlight some of the problems that, in my eyes, are there.